The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
All right, we are back with another episode. I believe this is episode number 8 of Shootin'. And joining me as always is the premier Joey K and the hot one Jay Minacho, and I am the lean, mean trivia machine DDJ. Guys, before I ask how you're doing, let's play that title that everybody loves. Here we go. I just gotta have a reason to play the beep every once in a while. So,
what is wrong with you, dude?
I start piling on the investment money.
all righty, we are back with another episode of this wonderful show we like to do a little shooting on. As always, I am one of your 3 hosts, the lean, mean trivia machine DDJ, and joining me as always are my partners in crime, my co-host, my whatever wacky sidekick, whatever you want to call them, the premier Joey K and the hot one Jay Minacho. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening on this very fine Monday night?
Well, first of all, DDJ, thank you very little for that rousing introduction that you bestowed upon us. But let me be very clear. Tonight, I found something has been missing from our show. Something that I have to dig up from the past. So for episode 8, I think it's going to be the return of the one and only, the premier Joey K. The one that you love to hate but can't live without. Number 1 in your heart. I'm here. I'm back.
Number 1, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Keep playing with your toys, buddy. Anyway, I think it's time to go full heel tonight. So if you don't like what I say, I don't really care. If you do like what I say, I still don't care.
What if we don't care what you say?
Hey, I'll say what I want. I do what I want when I want and how I want.
All right, Cartman.
This is it. Let's go. Hot one. Tell me how you're feeling tonight.
Not that he cares.
Episode 8, and the premiere returns to hate. Ladies and gentlemen, as you already know, for the 8th time, I am the Skywalker Shoot Talker, Skywalker Shoot Talker, Shoot Talker, Skywalker. Either way you want it, I am the hot one. Read it down there. Along with these fine fellas, we are going to talk some shoot. We're going to shit some shoot. We're going to have a good time. Thank you for being with us on this 8th time. If you kept coming back after we had fun in Philadelphia, I know sometimes we lose people there and we don't always talk about what happens in Filthy, but let's go.
Let's go. All right, so as of this recording, Monday Night Raw has just ended and the finals are set for both the King of the Ring tournament as well as the Queen's Crown tournament. So, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, who are you picking who wins the King of the Ring and who wins the Queen's Crown? And for those of you who may have not followed this tournament, first off, I don't really blame you because I think they've both been booked pretty crappy, especially the women's tournament. In the King of the Ring final, we now have Xavier Woods going up against Finn Balor. And in the finals of the Queen's Crown tournament, we have Zelina Vega going up against Doudrop. So let's start with the Queen's Crown, gentlemen. We've got Doudrop versus Zelina Vega. Who do you got? Jay, why don't you lead us off?
You know what? I want to go and say, listen to the episode where we first talked about this tournament. I'm staying with my picks. I'm going Zelina Vega.
Joey?
Give him 1 second. Hold on. Yeah, I was just finishing up scheduling my root canal because that's more interesting than anything we're talking about right now.
So you
I
don't
could
have
care
3 minutes to watch a women's match?
I could care less. No, I actually don't. Because it's on and I don't even realize it's on and then it's over and I don't know what I missed. So thanks WWE for not having, more than a 3-minute match, but still I just don't care. I really don't care about this tournament. I haven't cared about the setup. I haven't actually even watched Raw, to be honest with you, because I can watch a 5-minute highlight package. But since you named the finalists for the Queen's Crown, which I had no idea was actually happening tonight, Selena Vega. Because if Doudrop wins, it's an embarrassment because they made her change her name to something so stupid and ridiculous that it's not even. It's embarrassing. Whoever came up with that should be like taken outside and put down like a rabid animal. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But I probably shouldn't say this because I'm hating on it so much. It's probably going to be a decent match because Piper Niven, I'm sorry, I refuse to call her Doudrop. She's fantastic, and as is Selena Vega. So 2 great talents, and I hope they get to display more than 2 minutes and 50 seconds of a match. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they should take whoever booked this tournament, this writing team, and they should put them in. I know we were talking about before we start recording about the hottest thing on Netflix right now, Squid Games. Maybe they should put these writers in their own version or something. But
I'd be down for that.
Me too. That might be something actually to watch. But go on my pick. I originally, when this tournament started and the brackets were released, I picked Shayna Baszler to win the Queen's Crown. Unfortunately, she lost tonight. Boo. But with the last two, I mean, I really think this at this point in time, it benefits Zelina more to have this than Doudrop. So I'm gonna go with Zelina Vega, where she finally gets some sort of like push, recognition, whatever, some time, because she's long overdue and way too talented to not be to be on the back burner anymore. I think this is her time to shine, and I think she's going to take full advantage of it. So it's unanimous across the board. It's going to be looks like Zelina Vega is going to be your Queen's Crown winner. Now, again, on the men's side, we have Xavier Woods going up against Finn Balor in what should actually be a very good match. I think the one thing, if there's one good thing that's come out of this tournament, is that Xavier Woods is finally getting a chance to showcase what he can really do in the ring, because he really hasn't had that much of an opportunity. He had a great match with Ricochet last week on Raw, and I expect nothing less from him. Then he had a really good match with Jinder Mahal this week as well, and I expect nothing less when he goes up against Finn Balor coming up on Thursday at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. I stated again from the beginning, Xavier Woods was my pick to win the King of the Ring, and I have no reason to think otherwise. I'm still going with Xavier Woods. Joey, what do you got?
I think Xavier Woods should win, but no one deserves to see that, because everybody has slept on Xavier Woods as the weakest link of the New Day for a long, long time. And to see him finally get his shine and his moment and his time to be the face, people don't deserve that because they slept on him too long. But that's who will win. And it probably will be a great match because, again, 2 very, very great talents in the ring that never get enough time and never get showcased.
Jay?
Joey K still coming out with the villainous heat tonight. I'm loving it. I'm digging it. I'm feeling the energy. But I'm going to have to say this, and it's not that I don't think the fans don't deserve it. I'm scared of how the Saudi prince is booking this show.
Ooh.
Because to me, I know Devitt was way over, and that's Finn Balor. I don't want it to feel like we had this big buildup for, Woods to go over, and then out of nowhere, it gets pulled from underneath them because they're a bigger fan of Finn Balor. Can I see it? Yes, because Finn Balor's demon is amazing. Finn Balor himself is amazing. Do I want Woods? My heart of hearts says yes, but there's a creeping suspicion that Saudi might pull something weird, and we'll see Finn Balor win this one.
I was thinking Saudi might pull. If the Saudis had their way, you'd probably see someone like Yokozuna win because didn't they? I remember when one of the first shows happened, he actually asked for Yokozuna, not knowing that Yokozuna passed away like almost 20 years ago.
Yep.
He asked for a lot of wrestlers who passed away over 20 years ago too.
Yeah. That is true.
He asked for Daniel Bryan and CM Punk too, so you can't always get what you want.
Yeah.
Unless you watch AEW. So, but speaking of AEW, they had a great weekend of action on Rampage, including that awesome hour buy-in show that they had. It had a couple really good matches, one of which might possibly be a match of the year candidate. And then you also had the great show on a Saturday night with Dynamite. And I know in our little chat that we have for the show, I believe it was you, Joey K, that said Bryan Danielson said since his short time in AEW, he's already been in 2 of your favorite matches of the year so far. And that'll be something we'll discuss in a future episode. But when we talk about we talked about Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, we talked about CM Punk, Adam Cole, Ruby Soho, and stuff. And I mean, just AEW has had a lot of new faces showing up and a lot of familiar faces coming up down to AEW. And and this was a really good question that was brought up in the chat. With all of these signings that have been happening, is it spoiling the fans too much? Jay, you thought of this question, so why don't you lead us off?
So I'm going to say yes, to the point of now AEW fans, we're expecting a big surprise every special show we get. Winter is coming, we expect a big debut. The show before all that, we're expecting a big debut. Arthur Ashe, we're expecting a big debut. Maybe we need to cool it. Some of the debuts, we kind of heard the rumblings. We knew what was coming, so we were able to get hyped up. We were able to get, adequately excited, sell enough tickets for the venues so we know what's coming. We know we have to be there, be loud. But it's not normal. It's not commonplace. Top-tier wrestlers are not going to get released at the rate that they were during the beginning of the pandemic, the beginning of this year. People's contracts are going to start to expire, and they're not going to come directly to AEW. There's people that I know that when their contract gets out, I would love to see them in other places. New Japan, Impact, I think a big one is Adam Shearer, I guess his name is.
Former Braun Strowman.
I mean, he might be Impact bound. He doesn't have to come to AEW. So I think we are a little overdone. We are a little over saturated with some of the big time names that are coming over. Maybe that first big name that doesn't come to AEW is kind of going to hurt, I think, the fan base a little bit. But we need to be ready for that because Buddy Murphy, not really a big name, NJPW and possibly Impact. But maybe if Strowman goes to Impact and over AEW, might be the one that might hurt a little bit. But get ready. We're not going to get everybody. Come on. Don't fool yourselves.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that and say that, yeah, it's definitely spoiled the fans, and it's kind of like they're almost at a point where it's like they're going to set the bar so impossibly high that it's just going to get to a point where there's not going to be, nothing will be good enough because the bar has been set so high. I mean, you can keep going and going and going, but eventually there's going to come a point where, like the best pole vaulter, there's going to be a point where he or she is not going to be able to, clear that pole, and it's just, I think we're kind of getting at that point with AEW for the reasons you just mentioned. And you mentioned, Adam Shearer, the former Braun Strowman. You mentioned Buddy Matthews, the former Buddy Murphy. We have the Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics, who are going to be debuting this weekend at Bound for Glory, actually in a match for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships.
Perfect place for them because AEW doesn't have a women's tag team division.
Absolutely, and I've been saying when they were released, Jay, you can back me up on this. I said that's where they should go. I think that would be the best place for them.
Yep.
One name that that has not been mentioned yet is the former Bray Wyatt. Where he winds up and stuff. I mean, there's also rumors that he might be going to Impact as well. But honestly, at this point in time, I think AEW has a good enough roster. Like, they don't need anyone else at this time. In fact, I think they're kind of starting to get a little to the point where I think they may be a little, like you said, oversaturated, and they're going to start having these guys. While I think they had the best of intentions when they signed everybody, they're simply going to get to a point, if they keep this up, where they're not going to have, enough time to showcase everybody and you can only do so much on Dark and Elevation. And, you only have 3 hours of TV time every week on TNT and that. So I definitely think that us and, the rest of the AEW fan base is definitely being spoiled with all of these signings. And I think it's a little bit of a time now for them to put the kibosh on this and just let's see what we got with this roster and go from there. Joey, what do you got?
I'm going to speak directly to the big man himself, TK. Bubby, slow it down a little bit. Slow it down. We have two of the biggest, most beloved names in professional wrestling of the past 20 years debut within 2 weeks of each other. You have 3 hours of television. And no, I don't care about Elevation. I don't care about Dark. It's the equivalent of, Saturday morning wrestling in the early 1990s. I don't care. It is what it is. You have 3 hours of television time, and you have stacked this roster. First of all, thank you for stacking that roster. You brought in some of the best talent. You brought in the people that the true wrestling fans want to see. You give them a platform to do what they do best, but I don't want to sit there and constantly, who's coming through the curtain next? Whose music's going to hit? What graphic am I going to see? Who am I going to get excited for? It takes away from the product in the ring. First of all, when you're waiting for the next big thing to hit, no pun intended there, it takes away from what is being, told in the ring, the story that's really draws us all there. I'll give you a perfect example of that. When Punk debuted on Rampage, it was pretty much everybody was just expecting it. Can you imagine the letdown that would have happened if he didn't show up that night?
That place United Center would have burned to the ground.
Right. Exactly. Now, when Adam Cole's contract was up and it became known he did not sign with WWE, he's contract free, no 90-day clause, no 60 or 30-day in there. He can do what he wants. It was expected and waited for all night for the debut at All Out. Am I correct? You guys were there. You tell me. Was that the general vibe? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
people were expecting him. They didn't expect people expected Brian. He was the more of the surprise shock.
Right.
I think just with the whole thing with All Out, I think honestly, Adam Cole was a bigger surprise in terms of, the debuts between him and Danielson, because it had pretty much been leaked or it had been pretty much broadcast online that they were moving his debut up to All Out instead of Arthur Ashe, which was the original plan, because I think they were unsure with everything going on with COVID. So I think Danielson was expected, but I think the way they did it that night was really great, because nobody, I think, expected Cole, and they figured, okay, we're not going to get Danielson and Cole. Maybe we'll get Dan. And then, like I said, 5 minutes after Cole debuts, we get Danielson. So,
right.
But so I think it was a little bit, I think Cole was the bigger surprise that night, but it was still great to get them both. Sorry, Joey, go on.
No, it's all right. The bigger surprise of the two, but were you really surprised? We knew they're coming. No. Everybody knew it. Everybody's been talking about it, right? Yeah. So fast forward, we got Ruby, which again, another expected debut. And the list goes on with AEW. So what I'm getting at here is the fans are almost getting to the point where it's just like, who's next? And I said this last week. I'll say it again. A lot of people don't get what CM Punk's doing right now. And I think part of it is to blame of, well, what's the next thing? We got Punk. We got Punk giving promos. We got Punk in a wrestling ring. He's had multiple matches on television. We got all that. So not to say the love story's over, but I think you have a lot of fans, or at least a rising contingent of fans, that are just, okay, on to the next one. What are we going to get next? Instead of seeing where all this goes. And I'm in that boat of, let's see where this goes. Do you realize that we can build to see CM Punk versus Bryan Danielson and probably a match that we would never, ever, ever have in WWE, but we can get that now? And this is the last hurrah for that. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention, there's a lot of homegrown talent that doesn't get that airtime anymore. When people are just, it's the next debut, it's the next hot thing, it's the next big signing, it's the next take a jab at WWE. Like, come on. Use your talent, use the 3 hours of TV time you have. Keep building the stars, don't give up on them. Bring in, you have amazing talent, bring them up and let them work with some of the homegrown talent. And that's what one thing I love about Punk. Everybody who Punk's faced so far has gotten over in their matches. They got their stuff in. They look good. They look good taking a loss. Tell me who out of Garcia, Hobbs, Darby Allin, and is that it? Just three?
Matt Sydal.
That's the last one. Tell me who looked bad against CM Punk.
Everybody looked good. Nobody looked bad.
Exactly. So I appreciate that Punk's doing what Punk came to do. Like I really do. I think it's great. Not to say Seidel's a younger talent. I mean, they've been around the same amount of time, but at the same time,
aging.
He doesn't age. And thank God he didn't die from that top rope botch.
Damn you, Nakazawa.
Whew.
Yep.
Yeah, lubed up those ropes real nice and tried to kill somebody. But like, he made everybody look good. And that's what some of the older talent forgets in other companies, that you have to make the next generation look good.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get away from this whole who's coming out of the curtain next. Let's play with the storylines we have. You have long-term storytelling, and there's another question here that plays into long-term storytelling. So let's get it rolling.
Great segue into that.
I'm a professional, DDJ. I'm a professional.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's still great. I don't know if I'm ready to go that far.
We'll get you there, baby. We'll get you.
Okay. All right. I trust you. So I think what Joey K was alluding to was we had obviously last week on Dynamite, we had the return of one Hangman Adam Page, as he was the Joker in the casino ladder match, and grabbed the poker chip to become the next challenger for Kenny Omega. And it was announced a few days later that he will be cashing in that chip on Kenny Omega coming up at Full Gear. And Hangman Page came out and cut a hell of a promo. Easily the best promo he's done since he's been in AEW. And that begs the question, after his promo on Dynamite, do you believe in Hangman Page? I'm going to say absolutely. I like Hangman Page. Like, for a while, I didn't get what people saw in him and stuff. He still wasn't appealing to me. But man, after that promo he cut, I'm in on Hangman Page, and I totally believe in him. I definitely know the crowd is behind him. Cowboy shit is like a big thing. And who'd have thunk that would ever become a popular chant at a wrestling show? But absolutely, he sold me. I think I was there when he wrestled Chris Jericho for the AEW title at All Out 2019. And I love how he alluded to that. that he thought he was ready, but he wasn't. And, it humbled him. And then going through the stuff with Kenny, and then he even alluded to being on the hottest run of his career, and then taking time away to be there for the birth of his baby boy. And congratulations to Hangman and his wife on, the birth of their son and stuff. But he's definitely back. He's definitely picking up right where he left off with Kenny Omega. And honestly, I think Full Gear, I'm not sure if I want to say that this is the right move, but that's going to be for another topic. But it would not surprise me to see Hangman Page leave Full Gear as the AEW champion. So, yeah, I definitely believe in him. I think he is a main eventer now, and he is going to be a main eventer for a while. What say you, Hot One?
This is a story they've been building since the inception of AEW. Let's not forget, when the debut reveal, AEW, Hangman Page's phone said Double or Nothing. He's the one who had the difference on the phone. He's the one who, all these guys are EVPs, but what about Hangman? He was there in the beginning. He was part of the group with the phones outside the Tokyo Dome.
Yep.
Hangman, first ever 2-time Joker. He got the first chance against Chris Jericho by winning another Casino Battle Royale.
Yes, he did.
And his whole tag teaming with Kenny Omega, breaking up with the Elite, the issues with the Dark Order, the issues with the drinking. He has one of the most complete story arcs in all of AEW. The only person that's got one that rivals him is Jungle Boy. So after that promo, I'm in. Anybody right now, if you ask me who's the one to take the belt off of Omega, it has to be Hangman Page. The story makes sense. The build is almost 2 years in the making. It's time.
All right. Joey, what do you got?
The answer to this question is yes and no. Well, first of all, yes, because I've always believed in Hangman Page. I felt that a big part of AEW was built around Hangman Page. And just like Javon told us just now, he was the one who got the message of Double or Nothing. He's not sitting there playing EVP in the background and in charge of this, in charge of that. He was the younger talent out of the whole group that can have a singles run, that can carry a title. So to me, he was the guy that was brought in as this is going to be, when we look back on AEW in 25 years, 30 years from now, and we go, yeah, Hangman was the guy. He was the guy. And that's not a knock on Kenny. Kenny's still the premier talent, PWI 500, number one again. So that's not a knock on Kenny, but for Kenny's established. Kenny made his bones in Japan. He's been around the world and has carried the title and has been number one for a long time. So he came in as a legit start. Chris Jericho came in, the AEW signing, as Chris freaking Jericho. Everybody knows who he is. When you bring in Chris Jericho, you're bringing in top level talent. But Hangman was the young guy that they brought in, that you look at him, he looks good, he moves well in the ring. He's only gotten better over the years.
Yep.
He's got a great little gimmick. I love it. I love the cowboy shit. I always have. In fact, the first AEW show in Philly, I got that shirt that has Hangman Page and it says cowboy shit on it. I have that upstairs. So I've always believed in Hangman, and that's just how it's going to be. However, does he win the title? No, absolutely not. He's not going to win the title. He's not going to dethrone Kenny Omega. He's not the guy to right now.
Hold on. You're telling me that at the event that is named after basically Hangman Adam Page, he can't win the belt on his pay-per-view?
Correct. That is correct.
All right.
There's no universe where that happens.
Full Gear.
Going to happen whatsoever. So I just don't see it happening yet. There's too much story to tell with Kenny. There's too much story going on with the Super Elite and trying to keep the title on Kenny at this point. And I just don't see it happening. I really don't.
You really are going heel tonight. I see you.
You know what?
It's not heel. What we just talked about. This is long-term storytelling.
Mhm.
This is from the inception of AEW until now. But right now we're at the tipping point where this thing could go up way high, or it could just be, as MJF says, mid. That's it. So you build more. You continue to build. And there are too many other, let's be real, Tony Khan is into dream booking and that type of stuff. Again, another topic we'll touch on soon enough. But he is not the guy to do it right now. There are too many amazing matches that the fans want with Kenny. Where's Kenny versus Danielson 2 for the title? That's a big one. When do we get a super elite breakup? Because eventually Adam Cole's not going to be the mid-card guy to Kenny Omega's top star. Am I wrong?
Nope.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But the other one too, CM Punk. Everybody wants to see CM Punk. And there have been a lot of people who for a long time would love, I'd love to see Kenny versus Punk. I'd love to see Kenny versus Punk. And we can get that. We can have that now. So there's more story to tell with the talent that's out there with Kenny. And Hangman won't lose anything over if he loses. Hangman, his stock doesn't go down. The best thing about his promo was his mic work finally caught up with how his ring work is going. The thing about that promo, there was so much passion that came through it. I love the energy. I love the passion. I love what he said. I love that just beautiful realism that he brought into it. It did everything for me. But it also makes me want to see him lose because I don't want to see that guy who just came back, hot, passionate, ready to go. What do? You turn around, you come back, you win the title, now you're the champ. And now everybody's gunning for you. Yeah, but you're not the hungry guy who's digging out for a win. You see what I'm saying? That's where Hangman is succeeding. He's the guy that, man, he's right there. He's on that second to last rung of the ladder ready to go, and he gets knocked down 2 steps. And
I don't want to make
back
Hangman Tommy Dreamer.
Fair point.
Good point.
Fair point. Well, I mean, I haven't heard Hangman talk about Ric Flair's dick, so I mean, I can't say that he's going to be Tommy Dreamer, but I get the point though. He'll be the guy. But I think there's just more story to tell with Kenny, and I don't think that's going anywhere. That's not going to change.
All right, good stuff.
I like that. I'm gonna do something I don't do often. I'm gonna agree with Joey K on that.
Oh, look who's coming to the dark side. We have juice and cookies. Let's go.
Yes, I'm in. All right, and another great segue by the premier Joey K, because there's all this talk about Kenny Omega wrestling in Impact. We're seeing guys like Minoru Suzuki coming to AEW. We've seen, we see the Good Brothers week in and week out on Dynamite, and it's all because of the Forbidden Portal, the Forbidden Door. We've seen guys like Kenta. We've seen, we see Christian Cage, currently the Impact champion and stuff. So there's so many people out there that we have not seen cross into or enter into the Forbidden Portal. So, gentlemen, I ask you, who do you want to enter the Forbidden Portal? And Joey K, let's lead off with you on this one.
Who do I want to see?
If you got a couple, name them.
Yeah, because I don't think any of us can really sit back and just say one. I think everybody has a couple answers here. So I'm gonna hit just a couple randos off the top of my head here. Number one,
Saturday night.
Number one, exactly. That's why we're recording on Monday night. Anyway, number one on that list is probably Will Ospreay. I would love to see Will Ospreay, especially since he's primarily wrestling on Strong in the US right now, just in Philly over this past weekend. That's a guy who has come up, and I mean, can you see Will Ospreay walking in with one of the 2 New Japan world titles? and challenging Kenny Omega. That would be unbelievably amazing. Another pick, again, staying with New Japan. And since we've gotten so much great things out of New Japan, somebody who already dipped his toe right through that little portal one time, Jeff Cobb, who is currently my lock for the G1. I think he's going to beat
Is he
Okada.
still unbeaten?
He is still unbeaten. He has tied the record for most points in G1 modern history, meaning since 2011 when they upped it to 20 competitors. And if he even goes to a draw with Okada, he will break the record for points.
Wow.
So
this Okada match is going to be a beast.
I'm probably going to try to wake up super early for that one Wednesday morning. However, Cobb, they finally gave him a good push in New Japan. He's always been great. He was amazing in Ring of Honor. He's been amazing everywhere he's gone. But he's another one. He did step in, had a one night only shot with AEW, enough to get his own theme music, ironically. However, did not sign. He wanted to stay a free agent. He was still working Ring of Honor and New Japan. Then he's has gone on to sign exclusively with New Japan. However, that's a guy who I'd love to see. And then probably last, just shooting off the top of my head out of anybody right now, Jonathan Gresham. I would pay ridiculous amounts of money to see Gresham versus Danielson, Gresham versus Punk, Gresham versus Cole, Gresham versus Kenny. Basically, anybody on the AEW roster who's in the top 10 to 15, even more. I could care less. Put him in there against, not a slight on him because I think the kid's unbelievably talented, but a new signing like Lee Moriarty. I'd love to see those two go at it again. That would be phenomenal. I just think there's an opportunity for what New Japan's doing right now, and how their style is. I would just love to see some of the Ring of Honor and New Japan rosters come in and just show up and get to show off what a lot of the world still doesn't see, unfortunately. Some of these talents. Put in Carl Fredericks from New Japan Strong. I mean, that's a guy who you could have on a mid card in AEW and get really over. It's a perfect spot. You could go anywhere up and down the roster of New Japan or Ring of Honor and find someone.
Jay, what do you got?
Joey K with the Heat, man. A lot of fantastic freaking picks right there. I really love Jeff Cobb. I would love to see him come back in a real role, not just as a heater. I don't want to double him, so I'll go with some different ones. I want to see the Gorillas. I need God.
That was gonna be one of mine.
I need God somehow, somewhere. Even if it's not a full-on invasion, I just need them somewhere. If it's on Impact with Jay White one night, that'll be enough for me. That's all I want. I just want to see them here. Surprised that Joey K didn't say it. I would love to see Tony Deppen just pop up.
He is on my list.
Any of these shows, just Tony Deppen to show up. And one that we have a chance of happening, because I think he's currently a free agent. Filthy Tom Lawler, man.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I want Tommy to pop up somewhere. And I'll give you.
It's the land of factions. Let's just bring in Team Filthy.
Yeah.
Let's just have a Team Filthy just go off and do their thing. That would be amazing.
Team Filthy versus Violence Unlimited. I'm down. I'm down.
Please.
And last but not least, I still, the mark in me wants to see Okada Omega.
God, you stole two of mine.
I'm sorry, DDJ. The perils are going last. Love you too, buddy.
So, no, those are some good ones. So, I'm going to go with one that I'm really surprised that I did not hear, and it's not even a male. I'm going to go with a female right off the bat. I'm going to go with the current reigning Impact Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen her on the NWA women's pay-per-view where she had just a great match on there and just unbelievable, and just really great to see what she can do. And she's going up against Mickie James, who is stepping into the portal this coming week, at Bound for Glory. But I want to see her go title for title or champion versus champion with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I think that would be a phenomenal match. You stole a couple of mine with the Gorillas as well as with Okada. So I'm gonna go the way of MLW, and this is someone who I've given love to in the past when we talked about dream matches. Dude, give me the former MLW World Heavyweight Champion, the Samoan Savage, Jacob Fatu.
On my list.
I mean, if you just imagine him showing up, like I said, to just in AEW or just anywhere, Impact, New Japan. I mean, there's just so many possibilities because Jacob Fatu is just a really unique talent that he can fly, he can brawl, he can wrestle. I mean, he can do just about anything with anyone. And like I'd love to see one of the guys that was mentioned. I'd love to see Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb go at it. I would love to see, Jacob Fatu. I mentioned him go, possibly doing something with Roman Reigns down the line. I
wish.
Yeah, see Jacob Fatu. I just think, God, there's just the possibilities are endless, and I'm trying to think of one more person who we really. That's the great thing about this whole Forbidden Portal concept is that anybody can show up anywhere at any time, and it's just such a great time to be a wrestling fan, and I would love to, I'm just trying to think of a really good one here.
I've got one.
All right, who do you got? Maybe that might spark something.
Nick Aldis.
Oh man, that's actually a really good one. Nick Aldis. You can see you finally get Nick versus Cody 3. You can see Nick Aldis versus Kenny Omega. I mean, there's just so many possibilities and stuff. I'm just trying to think here. Think.
DDJ is looking at all the merch on the walls.
I'm trying to look at all my autographs on here just to see if I can find a name that can pop somebody. It's just there's so many possibilities and stuff like that. You know what? I just want to see good wrestling, and it's just with all these possibilities with the Forbidden Portal. I just am just in awe of what we're going to see and what we've seen and what we're going to see. And I just want to see everybody succeed.
You know what? That's a great sentiment, but let me give you something real quick on rapid fire.
All right, shoot.
Minoru Suzuki, does this feel like a farewell tour?
Ooh. Man. My mind says yes, my heart says no, but that's because I don't want that ride to end yet. Yep. And I'm just going to be real with you. It's actually started to surprise me at how many shows he is showing up at in the US right now. He was just in Philly, New Japan Strong, GCW. Dickinson just called him out for Bloodsport.
He's going to be debuting in Impact after Bound for Glory.
He's debuting in Impact. He is hitting everywhere except WWE. For his time in the US right now. And I almost feel I got that vibe. I don't like that vibe at all because, I mean, that's when you talk about the great heels of New Japan in the past 20 years, if Suzuki and his faction Suzuki-gun is not at the top of your list, I don't know what you've been watching, because that is the heel name that's synonymous with New Japan. It does feel like it though. I can't say it doesn't. It bothers me. I don't want it, but if he rides off into the sunset, he's gonna ride off as one badass man from Japan. I can't put him over enough. He's amazing.
Yep.
That's great. All right, so
hold on. You didn't answer. You didn't answer, Junior. Give it to me.
All right, you know what? This is one I'm throwing out there because I think he could do some really good stuff with a lot of guys in AEW. I'm going to go with the guy who's going to be challenging Christian Cage for the Impact World Championship at Bound for Glory. I'd love to see Josh Alexander cross the Forbidden Portal.
I like that one.
I think I would love to just him versus Bryan Danielson, him versus Punk,
him and Page.
Yeah, I was going to say he was going to Ethan Page.
That they have a built-in story right there.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that one actually just popped in my head. I'll go with Josh Alexander. I mean, again, and also another one I just thought of. I'd love to see. I mentioned Jacob Fatu from MLW, the guy that beat him for the MLW championship. I'd love to see Hammerstone there. I mean, I would love to see Hammerstone show up. Maybe like MJF has had enough of Wardlow, and kicks Wardlow to the curb, and he brings in Hammerstone, to reunite the dynasty in AEW. Could you imagine MJF in AEW with Hammerstone backing him up?
Yeah.
And you know what? Hell, while you're at it, bring in Richard Holiday. Reunite the dynasty in AEW.
That would work.
Yeah, they could take out the Pinnacle.
Yeah.
MJF is tired of carrying the Pinnacle. It's over and done with, and it's time to move on, and it's time to bring back his old friends, wipe the slate clean. They clear out the Pinnacle, and now the dynasty starts running AEW. Ooh.
Got MJF, the AirPod God, Richard Holiday, and your boy Hammerstone.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
All righty then. So we've got a couple more topics here to go with, and it is time for one of our favorite weekly segments here. That would be Under Over. Underrated, overrated. Yes, I know I said under, over, whatever. It's late. I'm tired and stuff. So the topic this week, because we're in the process of crowning the new King of the Ring and the new Queen's Crown winner. We're gonna go with this week on underrated, overrated. We're gonna talk about tournaments. So we're gonna give a tournament that we feel is underrated and a tournament that we feel is overrated. And I mean, there aren't really a lot. And I mean, you know what, Jay? This was your brainchild here. So kind of we'll give us a little bit of a background, give the audience a little bit of our listeners, our viewers, those of you who are listening and watching this, thank you so much. We really appreciate it and stuff. But Jay, why don't you give a little bit of a backstory on how you came up with this and what kind of went into your mind when deciding that this is what we're going to discuss on underrated, overrated?
Fantastic. It's easy to look into, guys. We're in tournament season. King of the Ring, Queen's Crown, going. NJPW does the Super Juniors. We're also getting close to Feast or Famine. Bound for Glory used to be a tournament format. So just kind of got me thinking, what tournaments, that we had in wrestling were legitimate? Which ones were good? Which ones were bad? Which ones started out with good intentions and maybe no longer mean anything?
I got a good one for that.
So I'll start us off. But yeah, I think I'll start us off.
Underrated or overrated?
Let's go. Let's do underrated first.
All right.
Let's do under, and I'll start off by saying the G1. The G1,
right.
The G1 tournament, for as long as it is, the amount of talent that's always in it, and I think the reason that it might be underrated is the time slot that it has for the U.S. audience. It doesn't get a lot of eyes here, but it's severely underrated.
All right. Jay, what do you got? Or Joey, what do you got? Excuse me.
Well, that was on my honorable mention list. And
Oh,
basically because the G1 in the US, we're used to this TV formatted version of tournaments where we're going to have an opening round this week, and then next week will be the next round, and then all the way we have to wait till a pay-per-view to get the final or whatever. That's been a long-standing, like, the TV setup for current day tournaments. The G1, what most people don't realize is how ridiculous it is. It's week in, it's week out, 2 blocks, and like I said, since I believe 2011 when they upped it to 20 competitors, 2 blocks, 10 men in each block, and everyone has to wrestle each other. It's not single elimination, it's point based. So basically, you have to wrestle 9 other men and have the best winning percentage to get points out of the entire tournament to get to the finals, and the block winners face each other and get a title shot. And what I also love is you are then forced to defend said title shot until Wrestle Kingdom hits in January.
Yep.
So absolutely underrated tournament. Second honorable mention, and I hope this steps on DDJ's toes because it'll make me laugh. The Lethal Lottery.
Oh,
We're going to go back in time a little bit. I think it was a great concept, but super, super underrated. Something that ran in WCW for only a few years. Only had one actual pay-per-view dedicated to it. Was it Battle Bowl? Is that correct? Yep.
They did it at
and
a
it was
couple of
93.
a couple years prior as well, too.
Correct. Yes.
They did it at a Slamboree as well. I think it was 96.
Exactly. So the concept is great. Your entire roster is open, selecting tag teams at random. You could get 2 guys who are in a storyline feuding. You could get 2 tag team partners facing off against each other on different teams. You have 8 matches throughout the night, and then it ends with a battle royale, over the top battle royale, to get one winner who wins the entire bowl, which is awesome. The only downside is you get a ring. It would have been much more cooler if there was a championship belt involved, and you would be the past winner, so you would get an automatic buy-in to the battle, whatever. But anyway, that's all secondary booking from 1992 for me. My top pick, though, has to be, hands down, since its return. Thank you to COVID. This made it to something very, very stand out to me. The Pure Wrestling Championship tournament from Ring of Honor. A classic staple of Ring of Honor. It hasn't been around in quite a few years. They brought it back recently. It came back actually through COVID and the pandemic. And Ring of Honor taught everyone how a no-fan wrestling show should be run and set up, because that tournament was amazing. The commentary was perfect for it. All the competitors they had were absolutely world-class, and it built an entire division, and it changed the face of Ring of Honor as a whole. And I think it's, in my opinion, Ring of Honor is making some waves with what they did. It's something different. It's something great. You can be a newer wrestling fan and like your flips and nonsense and silliness, but you can also be a classic wrestling fan who wants to see some good mat wrestling, some good, I want to see a lockup once in a while, to start a match. Hey, take notice, WWE, AEW, give me something. So, and led by the foundation himself, Jonathan Gresham, winning that tournament, going through, becoming the champion. Such a fantastic tournament, and I think not enough praise given to it. It really, you got really invested in it. If you watched any Ring of Honor from the Pure tournament, man, oh man, there was some great wrestling, great matches, technical wrestling. It really it was such a great throwback. And now the entire division, and it's still building in Ring of Honor, where the division is going now with a new champion, Josh Woods. I love it, and more people are getting involved. Trust me, check it out. You will not be disappointed. It's enjoyable. Underrated tournament.
Great pick.
So my pick for an underrated tournament, and I was kind of thinking of some, and I'm going to give a couple of honorable mentions myself. I'm going to harken back to around the same era that Joey K was talking about with the whole Battle Bowl thing. I'm going to go with, I believe this was 92. WCW did a tournament they called the King of Cable.
Yes.
And I mean, it had just provided some great matches. I mean, you had like Sting versus Flying Brian Pillman in a first round match. I believe Sting had wrestled Rude in one of the many great matches they would have in the semifinals, and Sting had arguably the out of the many matches he had with Vader, this was, a lot of people say this was the best one those two had. I mean, you also, I believe, like guys like Ricky Steamboat was in the tournament as well, and it was just a great underrated tournament with a lot of talent that's either in or should be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to go with that one. And then you talk about the G1 and just the tournament system based around that. I really thought that the tournaments that Impact did leading up to the Bound for Glory series, those were really good. I mean, you had a lot of really good matches, and a lot of times there were, and I liked how they were able to take someone who was like way down in the standings, and then it was like urgencies coming in. All of a sudden, this guy would go on a run.
Yep.
To win the tournament, and go on to challenge for the world championship at Bound for Glory. But the one I'm going to go with, and this is kind of around the same time frame that the Pure tournament was going, during this whole COVID thing, it created a challenge for a lot of people, especially if you were someone whose residence was outside of the U.S., because basically with everything going on, you were forced to quarantine for a couple weeks at a time if you were coming in or going out of the country. And I thought AEW did a really good job with the women's world title eliminator tournament when they had the one side with the bracket with the Japanese ladies, with Hikaru Shida, who was the champion at the time, helping produce the matches and stuff. And it really gave us fans a look into the world of the Joshi wrestling with the women, and because not a lot of people, including myself, I'd heard of it, but I'd never really seen it in action. And we got to see a lot of talents that we maybe normally wouldn't have been exposed to. I know it was Ryo Mizunami, who's part of AEW, Emi Sakura, who's been with AEW on and off. And then you had on the women's side, you got to see, Britt Baker, Serena Deeb. I believe Riho was part of that tournament. She was making her return to the U.S. And it was a great way to help build the entire women's division up, because this was during a period where I think the women's division was really still trying to find its identity in AEW, and it was still viewed as maybe one of the very few things AEW was one of their weaknesses. And I think this was a huge part in turning that weakness into, I believe, what I consider to be one of the stronger aspects of AEW is their women's division now, because I think they've really improved immensely, and this tournament was a big reason why. So when we're talking underrated tournaments, I think this women's world title eliminator tournament should be up there. And because I'm not going to let anyone steal my overrated, I'm going first on this. I'm just going to say the single most overrated tournament ever and done in the world of professional wrestling was the Brawl for All tournament. What an unmitigated disaster that was. And anybody who's watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode about the Brawl for All tournament can really attest to it, because that was, and I think it was all born as a result of Vince Russo wanting someone to kick JBL's ass. I mean, really, that's why you're going to sit there and put this kind of tournament together. And, in this tournament, I know there were a lot of really bad injuries that came as a result of this. It basically ruined the career of Bart Gunn. Dr. Death Steve Williams was never the same after this tournament.
That quad tear, right?
Yeah. And then he was knocked out by Bart Gunn. I believe the Godfather tore up his ankle really badly and stuff. And it was something that they wanted to try to maybe compete with like the UFC and to show that their talent were legit tough guys. But God, I would think if we could go back in time to that night when this tournament was conceived, and could stop it, I think maybe the world might be a better place. Joey, what do you got for your overrated?
As much as I can love and appreciate the Brawl for All, because that is very high on the list, I think the glaring, shining gem sitting on top of that pile of turds is the King of the Ring tournament. It has to be the most overrated joke of a tournament anymore. You see, what a lot of people probably forget or don't realize that pre-King of the Ring, there was only the big 4 pay-per-views of a year, which is your Royal Rumble, your WrestleMania, your SummerSlam, and your Survivor Series.
Yep.
The first pay-per-view that the then WWF introduced and became the Big 5 was the King of the Ring pay-per-view event, which was typically held in June, which featured amazing matches. And I dare anyone to go back to the first pay-per-view with Bret Hart winning King of the Ring. We also got one of the greatest,
my favorite King of the Ring pay-per-view tournament, and just the tournament in general. What a field that one.
The match he had with Mr. Perfect. It was, you could put that on AEW today and it would hold up. It's a great match. You have one of the greatest moments in WWE history, the birth of Austin 316 at the King of the Ring pay-per-view. However, in recent years, it became watered down. The pay-per-view ended. It's relegated to a show on, a spotlight on Raw, a spotlight on SmackDown, and it has become one of the ultimate mid-card attention getters that they can probably get. It's a step above the 24/7 title. And it's a step below about the comical booking of the Intercontinental and the US title lately. So I think it's just overrated. It's become something that a shell of its former self, and they still hype it up like it's some amazing big thing. Props to Xavier Woods for getting so hyped to win it. And you know what? That should be his shot, and give him something. I just wish it was something more. Put an actual singles title around his waist. Instead of going back to this king gimmick, and he's got the crown and the cape. Although, hey, big shout out for the James Brown moves tonight, though. I did see that.
Yeah.
When he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then he jumps back and runs up on the stage. I mean, perfect. His character, and that's really him as a person. If you watch Up, Up, Down, Down or anything like that, he's just hilarious. He's having a good time. He's loving it. But the King of the Ring has become not interesting, not great, nothing good, overrated.
Man.
Jay?
Mine was the King of the Ring. Followed by the Brawl for All. Those are two really, really good options. The Brawl for All, which shouldn't have never happened. King of the Ring, which hasn't produced anything memorable since Austin 316.
Whoa! I'm gonna time out, whatever you call it, time out on the field, whatever. Tag me in. Okay, so I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you on the fact that the King of the Ring has not produced anything meaningful since Austin 316, and I'm gonna give you two words why. King Booker.
Okay. I got worried that you were gonna say King Corbin, and I would have had to quit.
At least I didn't say King Sheamus.
I'm just gonna say it. My small intestine has produced better quality things than anything the King of the Ring has produced in years. Okay, and the whole King Booker gimmick, get out of here. Booker T's WWE run for the most part was just shots at WCW that he took like a champ because he was getting paid like a king. That's it. And
tell me he didn't just say that.
Oh, I just said it, and you don't have to beat my ass in the middle of a Wegmans. I'm going to tell you straight out how it is. Booker T should have beat Triple H. They played the whole race card. They played the whole gimmick. They built a feud, but they didn't give him the title. They never gave Booker T the shine, and he still shills for them because he has a deal with them, and they pay him money, and he's going to have to. And that's just how it is. But the King Booker gimmick, get out of here. That was just silly, silly nonsense.
But
there hasn't been a good.
Charmel?
I don't care about that either. I'm telling you, there hasn't been a real good king since Harley Race. Okay, that's the last king. How about or the kings of wrestling? Though that was the last great kings right there. Other than that, no, done. On to the next one.
There you go.
All right, Jay. Sorry, I had to chime in there.
That was a good one though. We got some heat out of it.
So, all right. So, anybody got anything else to offer on this, or are we ready to move on to our last topic of the night?
Crockett Cup is an overrated piece of crap. Let's go.
Hey!
Wow. All righty then. On our last topic of the night here. So, it was recently announced that WWE was going to be dropping the TLC pay-per-view from its schedule, and then also with the one of the matches coming up in Crown Jewel being a Hell in a Cell match between Seth Rollins and Edge, which a little bit of a little quick shot here. I'm picking that to be my match of the event for Crown Jewel. That is going to steal the show. But guys, I ask you, is it time to put away TLC and Hell in a Cell matches for the time being? And I'm gonna start out with Joey K on this. What do you got?
Absolutely. Do you guys hear that? You hear that? That silence you hear there is the sound of all the fans clamoring to keep the TLC and Hell in a Cell match and, Judy Bagwell on a pole, gimmick matches. Let's get rid of all of them. They're tired. They're worn out. We've talked about this before. Gimmick matches as a whole should be saved for blow-offs, not for pay-per-views. You build a whole show around, it's a Hell in a Cell match. It's funny because there's a pay-per-view for Hell in a Cell every year. There's a pay-per-view for TLC. But what do we still talk about? The greatest Hell in a Cell match was one of the first few. And that was when Mick Foley almost died flying off the top of the Hell in a Cell. Okay. Outside of that, name your next top in the 5.
I'll give you one. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H from 2004.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, when did that happen? 2004. So that's 17 years ago.
I like taking.
You know what? I'll give you a really good recent one. I think it was either 2017 or 2018. It was the New Day versus the Usos.
That was a good one. The Uso Penitentiary gimmick.
That was pretty good. I'll give you that.
So,
but we still talk about the classics.
Yeah.
How about Shawn Undertaker? That's a classic one.
Yeah.
But having a yearly tradition, as they would call it, which really isn't, because guess what? A lot of the best Hell in a Cell matches didn't even happen at a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about Undertaker and Triple H WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't Hell in a Cell.
Exactly. And TLC, literally the best TLC matches involved the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian in some form or capacity.
Yep.
No other TLC match has ever quite lived up to that standard. There's been good ones probably out there. I can't name any off the top of my head because I don't particularly give a damn. But I will be straight with you. It's the classics. Let them die. Shut them down. They shut down the King of the Ring and turned that into a turd farm that shows up every year on Raw and SmackDown. But you know what? Let that die too. Let all this silly gimmick stuff go. Let's get back to wrestling. Let's get back to storytelling. Let's get back to storytelling in the ring. I don't need a 20, 30, 40, 50-foot cage. Now, I will say this. If they bring back the cage from Ready to Rumble, WCW, I'm sold on that. I'm down for the 3 tiers. I'm good on that one. But other than that... Speaking of true kings of wrestling, Jimmy King.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, the gimmick stuff just has to go away. I'm actually glad they canceled a show that I wasn't going to watch anyway, even though I have Peacock for free. I could care less. I'll catch highlights on Instagram when they put up little clips of the match and just go, "Oh, that was nice. Okay, that was good. Ooh, that was a good bump. That was a good bump." Or if I see somebody on Twitter go, "Oh, did you see that botch?" I'll be like, "I didn't, but I will soon enough," and I'll just fast forward to it. But that's about it. Save the gimmick stuff for your big events. Give me a big booked up Hell in a Cell match that has been booked out since from the Rumble to Mania. between two of the top name stars, get me interested in it. That's why Shane McMahon succeeded so much, because his big matches were at Mania and things like that.
Yep.
And people shit on Shane McMahon. Look, everybody has their opinion of his in-ring ability, which isn't that great, but that dude will do anything.
He was willing to die in those matches.
Absolutely. Because not a lot of people fly off the top of that cage. But if I see Mick Foley's old ass climbing up there, I know even now he's probably going to throw himself off. And if I see Shane McMahon, oh, for sure, damn well, I know he's throwing himself off.
Yep.
Even if he has a crash pad under the table, he is getting a little older and he's got kids and stuff. So, but that's about it. Give me a good build. Give me a huge Mania type blow off. Go with one of the big four of the year, a blow off at one of those matches, but don't give me the same pay-per-views every year. As good as the Usos and New Day were in that recent Hell in a Cell match, and I think it was like 2 years ago.
Like
I remember it was the red cage, right?
3 or 4.
It was the red. It was when the cage was red.
Yeah,
which that actually really sucked. But still, that match, as good as that was, I'd rather see two of the top name stars going at it in Hell in a Cell. That's what it was really built for. Was built for those huge feuds, the huge blow off. Yep. Same with the whole like elimination chamber gimmick. That was set up a different way. They built this huge structure, and then it got watered down to just like, yeah, we'll just let anybody in here and do whatever. They want somebody who's going to do big spots and, you know, climb up the top and hang off and do a flip or whatever it is. They always have those spots in it, and then usually the champion ends up prevailing anyway. So it lost its shine. All that stuff, bury it. You're from Chicago. How about we go Chicago PD style? Hang Voight. Just go out to one of those abandoned warehouses, burn the body, dig a hole, drop it in. That's where those gimmick matches need to go.
I can't disagree with you there. And the whole point, I remember when I first got into wrestling, the whole point of these types of matches, like the steel cage match, which would eventually be kind of evolved into the Hell in a Cell matches. You had, you know, Texas bull rope matches. You'd have war games. You would have, you know, last man standing, first blood. You know, you would have all of these matches back in the day. And these were the matches that ended feuds. These weren't the matches that prolonged a feud. I mean, unless something ended in a fluke or whatever, you know, but very rarely did these gimmick matches back in the day ever end with a fluke ending. These matches, a lot of times too, you would see steel cage matches, you know, like you said, you think of one that comes in mind when I think of steel cage. I think of Starrcade 85, you know, Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA, and what I feel is the greatest cage match of all time, and stuff. I mean, that ended that feud, you know, the culmination of, you know, the Rock and Roll Express and the Andersons, or the Rock and Roll Express and the Russians. I mean, we're in the cage and stuff like these cage matches. You knew that was a feud. I mean, you go back to the last battle in Atlanta from like 1982 with Tommy Wildfire Rich and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. I mean, that was the blow off to the feud, and a lot of people consider that the precursor to the Hell in a Cell match because it was the first cage match to have a roof on it. I mean, and then you talk about like the last man stand. It's just all of these matches were meant to end the feuds and stuff, and it's just these gimmicks have become so watered down, you know, to the point where it's just like you said, you know, there's a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that has like 3 matches on there. You know, you talk about TLC matches and everything, and it's just like, oh, we're getting another TLC match. Okay. Back in the day, we're like, as 20 years ago, you know, we're getting like, you know, holy crap, we're getting TLC 2. We're going to see the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys go at WrestleMania. I mean, that was like, you know, oh my God, I got to see this. That 20 years ago. Nowadays we see it's like, okay, whatever, you know, it's, you know, like Joey said, you know, catch the highlights or whatever and stuff. And it's just, it's time for these gimmick matches to be put away. But I mean, I wouldn't say completely. They just need to be scaled back and just brought back when necessary.
Time out. So let me ask you guys this, both of you. Is this a professional wrestling problem or is this a WWE problem?
You know, I'm gonna go out and say it's a WWE problem, just because of the fact that AEW, you know, gets, I think, the concept of these, because you haven't. I mean, how many? We've only seen what I believe like 2 or 3 cage matches in AEW since since its inception. We've had, one blood and guts match. We've had the stadium stampede matches and stuff. But I mean, you're not seeing this week in and week out, and stuff. I mean, we had the lights out, match with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, and it's just all of these matches like had one thing in common, is that they usually meant they were like these feuds were coming to an end, which is how these matches should be. I mean, and then you see, like I know MLW has what do they call it? The War Chamber, which is their version of War Games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and stuff, and I know Ring of Honor, they have like ladder wars and fights without honor and stuff like that. But it's just like all of these other companies it just seems like they don't use these matches just to use them. I think there's meaning behind them. So honestly, yeah, I'm going to say it's a WWE thing.
I'm going to agree that it's a WWE thing, because WWE, it seems like they're focused on making sure their pay-per-views have a name, and the name is based off of the match. They're the only ones I feel like really does that. You look at AEW, you have Double or Nothing, Full Gear, Revolution. You look at, Bound for Glory, Slammiversary with Impact. They don't have their pay-per-view names after just a single match. And
Correct.
I think WWE kind of booked themselves into that when they made it about the match.
Well, I think, and I'll agree with both of you, because that was my take on it as well too. It's a WWE problem. It's not a professional wrestling problem. We get gimmick matches elsewhere, but typically they are for blow-offs of feuds. Glory by Honor Night 2 had the first cage match in Ring of Honor in I think 7 years.
Wow.
So in first cage match they've had in 7 years. And guess what? It was a huge blow-off to the feud for the past year and a half, 2 years. Got delayed because of COVID and everything, but the Matt Taven Vincent match, and it was the final chapter in their feud and their war, and they move on from there. That's how you book a gimmick match. Let's go back to the original concept of War Games. Because we have War Games now in NXT, and that's become a yearly thing for NXT.
What are they going to do now without the Undisputed Era? That was the Undisputed Era games.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. So we might not see War Games, and they might want to distance themselves anyway with the whole NXT 2.0 gimmick. But look at Blood and Guts. So Blood and Guts was originally supposed to be, a different match than what we got, but that again delayed because of COVID. Went from there, but it changed and it turned into a blow-off type match. That was a big finale to something. That's the way you book it. That's how it's always been booked in the history of wrestling. When WWE started caring more about what their overnight number is and what their, buy rate is, and they have to answer to the board of directors and the investors and all that stuff, now you booked yourself into a corner of, we have to do a whole show based off that.
Yeah.
You have an 8 match show, and only 2 of them are actually the gimmick that you're talking about.
Exactly. My point exactly on why these need to go. And it feels like it's forced with some of these gimmick matches. The women's Hell in the Cells match, that felt like it was just a spot fest for what weapon will they bring out next. Oh, this is a super long kendo stick. This is 5 kendo sticks bound together. This is the chair with chair with chair. You're just going after big spots. Nobody really even cared about the match. Same thing with the men's. Who's Roman going to get in the cage now? Who's not going to be able to leave the tribal chief? He freaking opened. So yeah, I mean, it's gone to the point where they're using it too much. They're not caring about who they put in these matches, and it's hurting, because Money in the Bank, you're doing 2 competitors. We know who's going to win before we even start most of the time. Yeah, it feels like they're forcing it, and we don't want to be forced.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So Great takes, guys. Great takes as always. And we're gonna kind of wrap it up here and stuff because it's getting late and we want to make sure this show gets out to you guys and stuff. And
the sun's going down, big guy.
Well, the sun has been down for a few hours my way, and I'm sure it's your guys' way as well too and stuff. But before we give our socials and let people know how they can reach out to us and support us by buying a T-shirt and stuff, I just want to give a quick shout out to my friend, the voice Dave Canning, who does a really great show with his two friends, Ryan Crossley and Nick Carpenter, called the Wrestling Nerd Broadcast, where they talk wrestling, and they're also big into the micro brawlers, which you guys know if you're watching this on YouTube, and you can see right behind me, I have my collection as well too. Dave and I have a little bet going. There's a game going on this week in the NFL featuring the my Chicago Bears and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we've got a little bet going. I'm gonna put a little graphic up on here and stuff. So basically, what we got going on is my Bears against his Bucks, and basically what is on the line is if his Bucks win, I'm gonna be sending. I'm gonna send him out a Shootin' Shit shirt, and he's gonna wear it on his show and rep us. And if my Bears win, he's gonna send me a Wrestling Nerd Broadcast shirt out, and I'm gonna wear it on and rep his show and stuff. And guys, just real quick too. They're doing for the month of November. They're selling pink Wrestling Nerd Broadcast shirts in support of breast cancer month, and trying to raise funds for breast cancer research. Yes, what Jovan's mouthing there. I'm not going to repeat it, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you can get an idea of what he's mouthing. But all the proceeds for their shirts go to raise for breast cancer awareness and research. So, guys, go to their store. They have one on ProWrestlingTees.com. Also, check them out on YouTube as well as wherever you get your podcast. They drop new episodes every Tuesday. And I just wanted to give them a shout-out because we got a little side bet going. And one way or another, it's a little cross-promotion with another show to get our name out there and to get their name out there as well, too. So, anytime we can get publicity or more eyes on our show, it's a good thing. But, guys,
it feels like we're going to be showing their shirt on our show.
It's pretty much a lock.
Yeah,
it's pretty much a lock. You could You could have just said we're just going to plug your show by wearing your shirt at this point. Because
we shouldn't have put it in the hands of the Bears.
I mean,
hey, they beat the Bucks last year with Nick Foles as their quarterback. As the quarterback.
And my team's going to the Super Bowl.
What's that?
And my team's going to the Super Bowl.
I don't know if I'm ready to say that yet.
When did you become an absolute crackhead standing on the corner of 7-Eleven at 2 a.m.? Because
my team is the
that
best
is
record out of all of us.
I don't care about that, but they're still not going to the Super Bowl. Well, hey, Jerry Jones making out with Robert Kraft in the press box. Phil's hung. I mean, anything's possible nowadays.
You know what? Since we're giving cheap shots, let me throw one in there, you guys. If you do follow me at the DFW Chairman on Twitter, you've seen that I'm posting up information on a WrestleCard virtual con. We are going to be having on October 22nd and the 23rd from 8 to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, a virtual convention where we're selling wrestling memorabilia, specifically cards. I'm going to be on Saturday night. One of my good friends, Mr. Aaron, AEW card guy, he will be on, I believe, Friday night. Give us a lookout, man. Join my Twitter down there. Join us for the virtual con. It's the first annual, so we're trying to do something cool. And they'll also, the guys that are hosting this, Wrestling Card Nerds, they'll be doing free boxes and rumbles, like little breaks. So jump in if you can.
Should be a lot of fun. That's great. Yeah, guys, we always like to say, we're always looking for topics to discuss. We're always looking to get feedback on what you guys think. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment, like, subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this on, say Apple Apple or Spotify or Google, make sure you hit the subscribe button and, turn on your notifications so when new episodes drop, and that way you can listen to them right away. And as always, we thank you for the support and the love and the feedback that we get. But you got a topic you want to reach out to me, you can on the screen here, you can see my information. You can reach me on Facebook at Dennis W. Day Jr. and you can follow me on Twitter at Dennis W. Day Jr. We'll have all the show information, in the episode descriptions as well as how you could reach out to us. Joey, why don't you give your information, and then Jay, after he gives his information, why don't you tell them how they can support the show by buying some merch?
The one and only, the Pacific Island Playboy, the premier Joey K, with another rousing episode of hot takes, hot mics, hot women in the background. That's what we do around here at the Plaza Palace. All right. This is the premier show. I'm the A1 since day one. I get a lame introduction from DDJ. I get no backing support from the hot one down there.
Oh,
I'm out here on an island. Oh, look, he's rubbing his little fingers together.
That's called a tiny violin there, you big baby. And before
not before. There's no I'm not hot tagging anybody. I'm not hot tagging anybody sitting in a production truck. You got a face for radio. Sit back down. I'm finishing what I'm saying here. All right. Let me break it down for you. You want hot takes? You want your suggestions to be heard? Come on in. Oh, look at this. Look, he puts his little mask on. Thank you so much for doing that. The world applauds.
Hey, that's my signed Dark Order mask there. So.
Oh, lucky you. Cool. Hey, look at this. I have a rubber glove. That's about the same worth. Anyway, back to the premiere, like we should have been the whole time. You're number one over here. Hit me on Twitter at Joe Coon. Good. Tears of joy because he knows I'm finally telling it like it is. God damn it. So listen to me. Twitter at Joe Coon. Hit me up. Hit me up on Facebook. Easy to find me. I'm not hiding. I'm here. You don't like what I have to say? I don't care. Come tell me to my face. I'll let you know that I take dumps better than your opinion. And in about 3 minutes when we end this broadcast, thanks for the reminder, Siri, I'll be taking another hot squirt out here just to let you know that's what I think about all your thoughts and opinions. So hit me up on Twitter and let me know. Also, how about you hit up our show on Twitter, which I don't even see on the overlay, guys. I do all the work around here. I get no credit. Look at me go. Just put, you know why? You know why I have so much icy hot? Because my back hurts from carrying you two chumps. That's why. So, follow us. Our personal Twitters are one thing, but there's show Twitter at Shootin SHOOTIN Yes, we kept it family friendly for as long as we could, but now we just don't give a damn anymore. That's what we're doing around here. Hot takes, hot mics, hot women, and unfortunately DDJ still. But whatever, we'll polish them up. We'll clean him up. Don't worry. We'll get him there. We'll get him to the other side. We'll bring him across the bridge. He'll come to the dark side one of these days, and that's how it's going to do. He can take that Dark Water mask. He can wear it around like the Gimp in Pulp Fiction all he wants, and I don't care. He can play with his toys. But we're going to bring him over here. He's going to be one of us, whether you like it or not. Look, he's waving his little $20 piece of plastic around. Look at you. Way to go. Way to go. Is that your kid's college fund? All right there, lined up on the window behind you. Unfortunate. You blame Ryan for that one. Blame Ryan for all that toy addiction back there. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Hey,
that's the premier Joey K. So you boys can wrap the show up however you want. Somebody get him a Kleenex down there because he's going to cry some more. And that's that. Have a great night, episode 8. I got to go take a squirt. I'll see you when I see you.
Man, you know what? I've got a feeling that as soon as the cameras stop recording, he probably goes... And his wife will probably say something, and he's probably like, "Yes, dear."
Says the guy hiding in his basement right now. Get out of here! I have to wait till everybody goes to bed to record and hide down here in my cave.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I love you guys. You guys are the best. I do. We're having fun. I just think it's time to bring the premiere back. I think it's time to have some real hard discussions about the world of pro wrestling and have a little bit of fun. I think we need a little more fire in here for some of these takes. Wake some people up a little bit to what's going on in the world.
All right. Well, I believe that's more than enough for this episode. So, guys, I'm kind of speechless after that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the hot one, Jay Minacho. I'm going to do it fast because Joey's got us just rammed with just craziness this night. You can follow me. Look on the side, Javon Minacho on Facebook. On the other side, at DFW Chairman. You can go ahead and hit the link in the show notes that gets you to our Teespring shirts, which is the OG Shooting Club shirts, available in black, white, and pink. Will be available as of tomorrow morning for breast cancer awareness. We already have one shooter out there who's purchased a shirt. Whoever you are, throw a shirt. Throw your photo up on Twitter. Tag the show at Shootin SHT. Tag at Dennis Day Jr. Tag at Joe Kuhn. Tag at DFW Chairman. Tag all of us. We want to see you in that shirt when you get it because we know it's coming soon.
I don't even have a shirt, for Christ's sake. It's ridiculous.
It wasn't in your contract, man.
Wasn't in my contract. Okay. I see how it is.
All right. Well,
take us home, Dennis.
All right. Well, guys, it's it's late. I know we all want to get to bed because we all got to get up in the morning for various reasons or another. So I'm just gonna. I don't really think I have anything else to say. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been Shootin'.
Helicopter away.
Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow the show on Twitter at SHOOTINSHT, and thanks for listening.